Hello everyone, this is Ashish and today we are going to continue our session on PowerShell basics. So in past we have already discussed PowerShell introduction to PowerShell in our previous two videos. If you have not watched it yet, please go through it. And now we will be starting our PowerShell basics module, which will cover these topics in detail, and then so forth. We will be discussing further modules on remoting and so on. So let's start the PowerShell basics training. So 5. Okay, so these are the things we will be discussing going forward. I will try to these are the things, and then these topics have elaborated concept as well as practicals. So this particular session will be lot more detailed as compared to the earlier one, because earlier one was more of theory, more of concept, and now everything you will see you would be able to relate it with. These are the things you would be using it in your day-to-day PowerShell scripting. So let's start it from the first one. That's everything is object. So in PowerShell, everything is object. So everything is object. What we mean by everything is object is that, as I told you, that PowerShell is based on .NET framework. So everything you see in PowerShell, every command you see in PowerShell has been actually written in .NET. And .NET is a object-oriented programming language. So that's why we call PowerShell a .NET, object-oriented language or a scripting language as well, because it is it gets things from the .NET, which itself is a object-oriented programming language. Now the question is how it is beneficial for us. How it is why we should be excited about it. What are the things you get being PowerShell as object-oriented scripting language. So before going into details of that, we just have to have a brief brief knowledge or brief description of what object is, and what it looks like. So object is a copy of a template. Okay, so there is a template already written there. You just create a copy of that template and you call that object. Now what that template is called? That template is called class. So whosoever coming in from programming background, have gone through the object oriented programming concept, they would be familiar with these terms. So class is something .NET has already written, and you create a copy of it and you start using it. So when you create a copy of it, you call it a object. So suppose there is a class written for employee, or maybe written for a student. So the class is there, the class is template. So someone has defined what are the things a student should have, and then you create a copy of it. Then you create a copy of a student and name it Ashish, or maybe someone else, a name, and that will be specific to that person and specific to that object. It will have the name of that person, the ID of that person, address of that person, and things like that. So an object normally do have two major things. One is property. Property is like ID, name, or things like that. And then the method. What are the methods that particular thing can do? So for a student, a result can be a method, like it will print out the result of that student, or average marks of that student, or things like that. So this is the basic concept of object and property and method. So that there will be an object in PowerShell, and each object will have either property or method. Property will have some attribute or state or name. You can relate it with things like that, like name of then object, or things like that, and then the method will do something. It will do an action for you, it will do something, it will follow some instruction and will give you a result out of it. So that's how things are in PowerShell. So now let's start, let's start learning things. Like you can see that there is a get command. Let me do this practical for you, I mean on screen. So there is a get command in PowerShell which prints the date of the system, right? So this is a date. As you can see, you can see it's a string output. I mean you can see that there is a string, I mean there is a textual output over here. Now in PowerShell this is like that. Now let's go back to our console, I mean bash CMD. So CMD also has a date command and it looks like this, D. So it will print the date. Now we have something similar in both of the things. There are few difference, like there is a time, there is no time, but little bit of more research, you will be able to maybe get the time as well. But here our objective is different. Our objective is we are getting a command which is giving a output. Okay, now I want selective output, I want to do some manipulation over here, right? So in PowerShell, what is, like I said, this looks like a string, but it is not string, it is an object actually. Now what type of object it is, like I said that there are student object, there are employee object, there are different things. Now in PowerShell, what type of object it is? So let's try to find out what type of object it is. So if I will do this dot get type, okay, so it will give me, okay, so this is a DateTime type, right? It's a DateTime, right? So DateTime do have in .NET, DateTime has different functions and properties. Now let's try to do one thing. Instead of type, I will try to get something else. Now day of week, if I will say day of week, I get this Saturday, right? The first thing, right? Okay, now go back to our command prompt. Now if I want to get only the first thing, now there is no inbuilt command. What I can do, there can be a number of ways of doing it, but you have to write that logic. I mean there is no logic already written there which will help you to get only the day of the week. I mean you have to manually, one way of doing it is that writing it to a text file, c tempo text date.txt, writing it to specified, okay, because instead of temp I said temp. So if I will do that, okay, so if I will go there and let's go back to my desktop and C drive, and if I will go there in tab folder, there should be a date text file and there would be, okay, so there is a date. Okay, so what I will have to do now, I will have to read this file again and then do some modification and get the exact result what I want to do. So this is, I mean this is the exact scenario in your shell programming as well. I mean these all logic and things you will have to do. Now what object oriented programming, because PowerShell is an object oriented programming or scripting language, it gives you so many inbuilt method, so many inbuilt classes which will help you to manipulate your result, to get certain things from your result instead of writing the logic for that. That's how PowerShell gives you the the flexibility to write complex things in a simpler way, because the complex logic has already been written in .NET. You just have to call that particular thing. So that's how object oriented programming will help you. I mean let's try to do one get service. Okay, so service is something you run it and you get string output again, but there is a string. Okay, now but is this only a service contains? I mean, service has so many other things as well. Like, let's see what are the things it is printing. It is, first of all, it is printing stop running or what, so it is status. The other one is you know, the name of the service, and the other one is display. But does service only have these three things? No, service will have so many other things. If you go to services.msc, okay, so if you go to services.msc, then you will see lot of other things for a service. Now, how to get it? Because PowerShell, instead of string, okay, PowerShell gives you that object actually. If you do the same thing with the get service, I want to know the type of that get service. It's not a string, it's actually something else. If I get save, so it is an object, right? It is an object. Now what type of that object is? That is a service object, system.service model. We will go through the details of that, but it is a, you know, object, and an object will have so many other things apart from what you see on your screen. So if I go to a particular service, you see that, you know, service name, display name, description. Suppose you want to know the description of a service, or maybe startup type. So status is coming, but startup type is not coming by default. So you should, I mean, you will be able to know that. How to know that we will discuss, but I mean, these are the basic things you should know, that PowerShell gives you, you know, the flexibility to, you know, get the complex things done in inbuilt. I mean, instead of writing the code for it, right? So that's how object oriented programming language or programming scripting language helps us to get the things done. Then the other topic I would like to talk about is piping. So what are pipes? Okay, and so pipe, this particular concept comes from the Unix shell programming. You know, the shell scripters, those who come from a shell background do know the pipes. So pipes looks like something like that. Let me show you what a pipe look like. Okay, so suppose get service, okay, and then I will pipe it with select name status. Okay, so I will just select name and status, not the, you know, display name or anything else. So it will just show you the name and status. So I have piped it with the next command. So what this pipe is all about? So in a practical scenario, I will tell you what it is. It is like service pipe. So output of this command will be input of this command. So that's how you can, you know, relate it with. So I have select name status. Now from where name and status should be selected? From the previous command. So that's how it is. The left side command output acts as a right side command input. So if you have a scenario like, you know, you have a commandlet which gives you output, then you want to select certain things to do the further operation, then you can pipe them together and you can get the things done within one line. No, you know, so this is what the piping in brief. Okay, but this is not the pipeline actually, you know, in background. The pipeline concept is much more than that. Now what it is, I will tell you. Now if you will run get service, okay, I have not included the pipe, but I am getting this. So is there pipeline already? I have not included the pipe symbol over there. So is it the pipeline? Is it still there? Yes, it's still there, and I will explain you. As we discussed that a service do not have only these three things, right? There are so many other things apart from this as well. So someone in the background telling the shell, that okay, you should, if someone is not telling you what you need to display, then these are the few things you need to display, without having the knowledge of or without, if the scripter is not telling you, or it is not coming from the shell. So someone is telling that okay, this view need to be displayed by default. Okay, so who is someone? Someone is a XML file actually. So that XML file has been configured for each and every output type of PowerShell. So what happens when you run a command? Okay, when you run a command, and if there is nothing after that, then this command output goes to a pipeline. Okay, even though you cannot see the pipe symbol here, but that's how it is. So pipeline is some temporary space, you can say, or some a pipe you can relate it with. So pipeline is there, and then if someone explain that what are the things I need from that pipeline, then that person has to include this symbol. Okay, so this, okay, if the other person will not tell, then this pipeline will go in the background, and then the XML will tell what are the things I would be choosing from that pipeline. So that's how the pipeline in the background works. So pipeline will, suppose I ran it, select name. So now because there is nothing after that, then the output of this whole command together will go to the pipeline. First pipeline will get this information, then pipeline will include the pipe, then only select this information. Okay, only select this information, and then go to the further pipe. If someone will say okay, I still need to do another piping, then he can do here. No need to do that, but some so pipeline is there. Last command output will go to the pipeline, then selectively it will be chosen. If the person has mentioned that these are the things I need to show on the shell, or need to select, then those things from the pipeline will come into the picture. If not, then the XML written in the background will give you the details that are called view XML. That is out of this training, out of scope of this training. That is a much more advanced concept. If you go through the PowerShell, that includes the understanding of PowerShell API and programming of PowerShell itself. So I would not go into that detail, but yes, you should know that even if you are not piping, there is a pipeline. Okay, now that pipeline that pipeline will have everything related to this particular command or the last command. Suppose select name status, then the pipeline will have the output of this command, and then as I have told that select these two things, then those two things will be displayed. If instead of select, if I would have something else, then the select will be working as per the XML written in the background. So that's what the pipeline concept is. Now from the practical point of view, you will be using pipe like this, but for the background information I have just explained you the pipeline concept. So this is what a pipe and pipeline concept is all about, right? So you will be using it more and more. The commands you will know, more and more scenario you will know. You will start exploring the piping, and then you will get to know what are the various ways you can use it. What are the way, but the background is the left side commandlet output would be the input for the right side commandlet, or the right side command, or you can say that. So now then after that we will be discussing the alias. So what are the alias and why we have alias in PowerShell, and how to know that what are the alias we have, and how to, you know, create your own alias. Like, okay, so alias, as you know that alias, I mean in other places as well, alias are like some other name for a particular thing, right? So let's just first find out what are the alias we have on system. So if you will run get alias, then you will get all the alias running on your system. So these are the basic default alias I have, okay, on my system. So these are the alias like percent or question mark. So I mean these will come in the later phase. I mean we use these per certain things as well, but apart from this there are so many other things we use, like cd, you know, for changing directory. We use cd for changing directory, but the actual command for this cd is set location. As you know dir is there, right? dir is we use for getting the list of directory, but the actual command is get child item. Now why PowerShell has written, as you know that the I mean as you would be able to relate it, but let me show you how. cd, let's go back, cd dot dot, okay. So now cd users, so it will change to the cd users command, users directory. Now instead of cd I will set location. So set location will do the same thing. Within users I have a folder with my name Ashish Ras. I will go, okay, right? So cd and set location are the same, but why we have, you know, this thing? So because as you know, most of the PowerShell users will be coming from a background, maybe from a, you know, CMD background, maybe from a shell background, or maybe from a other scripting language background. So cd is a very common you know, word we use for changing directory on command prompt, right? On the command prompt we use cd for this, right? It just works like this, right? So PowerShell developers wants to have a seamless, you know, transition from commandlet background to the PowerShell, from shell background to the PowerShell. So that's why, although they have created separate command for things, but they created alias with a word or with a string which is commonly used in a particular background, I mean a particular environment. Like in command prompt, most of the PowerShell guys who are old in Windows system they have lot of extensive you know, experience on command prompt, so they would be easily they would be able to relate cd more than set location. Once they are, you know, they are in on board, or they are able to use PowerShell effectively, then they would be probably able to use set location as well. But for the, you know, for the transition period, it is very useful if you have the old knowledge working on the new system as well. So that's how it is. So alias are used, alias has been created. You can create your own alias as well. Like suppose you have a command for, you know, like suppose you work with Azure a lot, like new Azure RM resource group. So this is a resource group deployment, okay. So this is a quite big commandlet, right? So I mean it's like I mean if you type it every day, then you must be, you know, you must be thinking if something like dir or something like cd or something like azrm dp or something, you know, something very simple to type, simple to remember can be, you know, can be created on my system, then you can create it like new alias, okay. Then you will say name. So name will have the new name. So suppose I will say agrd or yeah, I mean anything like that. Azure resource group deployment, agrg deployment, okay. and then I will say value. Value will be the one which I want to point it. So Azure, new Azure RM resource group, Azure RM resource, RM resource, okay, resource. So resource group deployment, right? So if I will enter it, I have it, right? If I will say AGRD, yeah, so I have Azure resource group deployment and it will be working. So this is how you can create your own alias, and this is how the alias is helping to use the existing commands or to create your own alias for a particular complex command which you use on daily basis. So this alias will be created in your local system, just to tell you. It will not be visible on any other system, right? So if you have created an alias and then if you are using it in your script, it will be working on your computer only, okay? So if you are creating an alias and using it in your script, and if the script supposed to go somewhere else as well, then you have two options: either create an alias with the exact value and name on the other system as well, or do not create alias. Instead do the alias thing on your shell and then write the exact command in your script, so that it will be useful on any other system as well. So this is what we have discussed so far, alias. And then after alias we have variables and data types. We will be discussing variables and data types in our next video. We will be discussing further details, further topics in our next video. Keep commenting or keep liking and sharing all these videos, and share your feedbacks as well. If you want to improve on anything, I'm using another recording software today because previous videos were having some issues with the audio. So yeah, I will be keep experimenting with the ways of presenting or explaining the topics or explaining this stuff, and also with the software I am using for recording or or presenting. So just keep sending your feedback and let me know if you want me to improve on a particular thing. Thank you so much. Bye bye.